Welcome back, Fright Fiends. I've been dying to see you again. You're right on time for a holly jolly horror, because tonight is beginning to look a lot like Christmas fear. You see, our next tale unwraps a chilling gift that keeps on grinning. When a festive little house guest starts moving on its own, things go from merry to mortified. And let's just say, the only thing on this elf's wish list is your soul. But before we dive into tonight's tinsel-covered torment, make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications, or else the elf might come tapping on your window next. And don't forget to smash that like button, preferably with a fire poker, before it gets back up. Now then, on to tonight's story. I call this one Tangled in Terror, Part 3. Enjoy! Christmas should have been a time of warmth, but my house felt like a crypt. The lights draped across the roof flickered like dying stars. The wreath on the door sagged, and the tree in the living room cast jagged shadows, its ornaments glinting with a cold, malevolent sheen. Since I burned that cursed puppet last summer, nothing felt right. Its splintered voice, "Let me in," still slithered through my nightmares, a constant reminder of the thing that I thought I destroyed. And I told myself that the fire had ended it. The ashes in the fire pit were proof of its demise. But deep down, I knew something ancient, something ravenous, was still waiting to claw its way back. And it was December 23rd when the elf appeared. Mom brought it home from a thrift store. A small, tattered doll in a filthy red and green outfit, its pointed hat drooping over a glassy eye. She called it an elf on the shelf, said it would watch me for Santa. And I hated it on sight. Its face was grotesque. Pale fabric stretched too tight, a stitched mouth twisted into a curled smirk, and hands that were too long, too bony, like skeleton claws. She placed it on a mantel, and I swear its head twitched, its gaze locking onto me as I backed away. That night, alone in my room, the air grew heavy, suffocating, like unseen eyes were carving into my soul, the same dread I felt with the puppet. By morning, the elf was moving, and I'd find it in impossible places. Crouched on my nightstand, leering from the kitchen counter, and perched on the staircase. Its hat tilted like it was taunting me. Mom swore she hadn't touched it, too consumed with holiday prep to notice my panic, and I had no one to tell. No one who would believe me. The elf wasn't just a toy, it was it. Whatever had lived inside the puppet's wooden shell found a new vessel, and this time, its hunger felt sharper, more personal. That night, sleep was impossible. The house was too quiet, the silence thick with malice. I laid in bed, heart hammering, when I heard it. A slow, deliberate scratch, like claws raking against wood. And I froze, eyes fixed to the bedroom door. It was cracked open, and in the dim glow of the Christmas lights, and I saw the elf. It sat on the floor, its head bent in a sickening angle, its stretched mouth gaping, threads fraying like torn skin, and its glass eyes burned with a faint, unnatural light, and one bony hand twitched, scraping the air. My stomach churned. This was no doll. It was the shell of something old, something that wanted me. I grabbed my flashlight, hand trembling as I aimed the beam. The elf vanished, but the scratching grew louder, now coming from under my bed. And I didn't want to look, but I had to. And I dropped to the floor, shining the light beneath. The elf was there, sprawled in the dust. Its limbs twitched backwards like a broken insect. Its mouth split wider, and the voice slithered out, dry and venomous. "Let me in!" And I screamed, scrambling back as the elf skidded out, its movements jerky and terrifying fast. I scaled the bed frame, its claws gouging in the wood, leaving splinters. I grabbed a hammer from my desk drawer, swinging wildly, but it leapt, landing on my chest. Its weight was crushing, like a gravestone pinning me down. Its mouth yawned open, a black void reeking of decay, and its claws raked my neck, cold and sharp as razors. I tore it off, hurling it against the wall. It hit with a wet crunch and slumped, motionless. But I wasn't fooled. I ran downstairs clutching the hammer and barricaded myself in the garage. Fire hadn't worked last time. I wouldn't make that mistake again. I needed to obliterate it. I set the elf on the workbench, its glassy eyes still tracking me. And I raised the hammer. But before I could strike, its head snapped up, and that voice burrowed into my skull closer, sharper.
You can't kill me.
The elf lunged, its limbs twisting like a puppet with severed strings, and I swung the hammer, missing as it skittered into the shadows. Its laughter a shrill, jagged shriek that clawed at my sanity. And I flipped on the garage light, but it was gone, leaving only a stench of charred wood and the echo of its voice. And I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room, gripping the hammer, watching the Christmas lights pulse like a dying heart. The elf didn't return, but I felt it, lurking, plotting. Christmas Eve arrived, and I tore through the house, searching every corner, closet, cabinet, the attic. Nothing. But the air grew heavier, the shadows sharper, like the house itself was conspiring against me. And in the basement, I found it. The elf was crouched on an old furnace, its hat gone, its mouth a gaping maw of frayed fabric and darkness. Its eyes glowed with a sickly light, not of this world, and its claws twitched, eager. I swung the hammer, but it leapt, faster than before, vanishing into the pipes above. Its laughter echoed, a piercing wail that made my ears ring. And I stumbled, heart pounding, and I grabbed the metal toolbox. If I couldn't destroy it, I'd trap it. I spotted it in the corner, unnaturally still, and I lunged, shoving it into the box. I slammed the lid shut, padlocking it and piling up bricks on top of it. My hands shook, blood dripping from the scratches on my neck. And I dragged myself upstairs, the house silent but alive with that same hateful presence. That night, Christmas Eve, I lay awake, the toolbox locked in the basement. The wind screamed outside, and then through it, I heard a faint, chilling whisper.
Let me in.
And I bolted upright, sweat soaking my shirt. The whisper faded, lost in the blizzard's roar. The elf was trapped. For now. But as I stared into the darkness, and I knew it wasn't over, something ancient, something dark was still out there. Its malice undying, waiting for its next chance to claim me.
Wow, boys and ghouls. Looks like our little elf friend shelved his emotions, huh? You just wanted to hang around for the holidays. Maybe roast a few chest cavities by the fire. But hey, it's a thought that kills that counts. If you enjoyed tonight's tale of tinsel and terror, don't be elfish. Share this episode with your friends. Let them unwrap a little nightmare before New Year's. And remember, our frightfully festive merch is still up. Grab it while it's hot, unlike our friend in the fireplace. This may have been the final fright of the season, but don't worry. We'll be back sooner than you can scream, with more ghastly goodies and fresh tales to turn your bones cold. Drop a comment below if you've ever had a holiday gift that refused to stay dead. Or just tell us, what would you do if a toy whispered, "Let me in"? Until next time, remember, if your elf on a shelf starts walking, run like Santa forgot you exist.